Right, okay, we are live, and I'm just going to give it another 10 seconds and get going. Hello, Stephen.
Hello.
Thanks for joining me.
It's all good.
Right, we're about 40 seconds behind on LinkedIn. So let's go. Thanks everybody for joining us today. I'm Adam Gordon. I'm co-founder of Poetry. I guess I'm responsible for everything non-tech, really. And I've been in recruitment since 1999. I love recruiter enablement. I love doing things that make recruitment better. And so it's my pleasure today to give you a quick demo of Poetry, show you what we've built. We've been on a mission to create the world's first and best recruiter enablement workspace. We are 1 year old today, and we are absolutely ahead of our aimed achievement of doing that. We've got a revised mission, and the revised mission is to create the world's most useful talent acquisition technology. I think we are 80+% of the way there already. Poetry is superb today. It's not perfect, but it is superb. So if you've got any questions or comments, please post them in the chat. We will get them. We're using a streaming service called StreamYard. We're about 40 seconds ahead of you. So if we don't get to your question immediately, then that's the reason why. I'm joined by Stephen McGrath. Stephen's going to help me with some aspects of the demo. Stephen, give us a quick introduction to you.
Yeah, so thanks very much. I am Stephen McGrath. I'm the product experience manager for Poetry. So after a decade or so in TA, I moved into recruitment technology and trying to correct all the things that I didn't like about the platforms that I used when I was a recruiter, basically, is what I do day to day. I speak to our customers and try and improve the overall kind of Poetry experience. So, yeah, I mean, you said it right, Adam, right? We're about 80% of the way there of this being absolutely magnificent. I would say that we're currently in the good to great category right now.
Yep, absolutely agreed. If you don't know Stephen, Stephen's also a singer. He's a wonderful singer. He is also extremely violent. He's battered many, many men in a cage. And he's also a LinkedIn comedian these days as well. He's got a new hobby. So let's go on to Poetry and show you what this is all about. Okay, what we're trying to solve here. Number one, recruiters spend too long trying to create or find the assets they need to get their tasks done. I'm talking about recruitment marketing assets, recruitment assessment assets, talent sourcing assets like Boolean strings and outreach messaging, talent intelligence, how many people in a particular location actually do this kind of job, what is the demand in that location for those people. There are many, many different solutions that we've created to these things in here. So we're also trying to solve the problem of recruiters having 20+ browser tabs open at all times. And from the research that we did last year, we found that recruitment teams really are desperate to try and streamline their tech stack if possible and have less places that they need to go to get their tasks accomplished. So by bringing in so many solutions to the one workspace, we think we really have achieved this. So when I log into Poetry, I'm on this desktop, and on the desktop there are tiles. Each tile represents a solution, and there are 4 solution groups. They are recruitment marketing, recruitment operations, recruiter learning, and tools. As you can see, you can add third-party solutions into your workspace. And the benefit of doing this is that less people are on Teams every day saying, hey, what's that job board I should be using? What's that video solution I should be using? Everything's on your Poetry desktop, and that will eliminate the need for people to be asking each other where those things are or what the URL is for it or whatever it might be. To configure your desktop, every organization is going to have a different desktop. You just go to Desktop and Groups. let's say you were on Workday, you were on Beamery, you're now on Phenom, you're now on SuccessFactors. We have 140 pre-built third-party tiles for lots of different recruitment technologies in here. If your third-party solution isn't in there, then we can get it added into the marketplace really easily. So if I'm a recruiter and I've got SuccessFactors as my ATS, I click on here and it just opens it up. It's really easy. If I'm using Gigged as a tech marketplace, click on here, it just opens it up. If you're already signed in, you've already got single sign-on installed in your browser, then it's just going to log you straight in. So I am a recruiter in your team. I'm going to be working on something I've never worked on before. So I'll go into research, I'll go into find, and if there's nothing in there, I'll go into create. This is a data job. It's a data analyst, and it's based in London. I need to understand, what is this job? What's the main responsibilities? I click perform research. It's going to take a few seconds, and it's going to return for me an answer to that in simple terms. So we're in the middle of changing this solution just today. By Saturday, this is going to work on the basis that you can select all of these questions or specific questions. And as you can see here, it's developed in simple terms. What does a data analyst do? And kind of a summary of the responsibilities. So now I want to understand who employs the most of these types of people in this location. I click perform research, and it's going to take a little bit of time to give me an answer. And here are 10 companies. So Barclays, Lloyds, Tesco, BBC, and NHS up at the top. Okay. Now I want to know, what's the average salary for somebody doing this job? So it's going to give me back some answers to this. It'll come back from maybe PayScale or maybe Glassdoor. It'll reference where it's getting the answers from. Okay. Varies, and according to Glassdoor, estimates around 37. According to PayScale, 31. And according to Indeed, it's around about 40. So it's somewhere in the sort of 30 to 40 kind of area. Really great information for working on this new job that I've never done before. I've got some good knowledge of what the job is all about, and I can go and have a sensible conversation with the hiring manager. I can even provide that hiring manager with some good insights that they might know about. Okay, so now I want to find some candidates. I go to my Boolean builder, click on find, and if there's nothing already in this library, I go to create. This is for an engineering job. It is a data scientist, and it's based in Glasgow. I want similar jobs, so I click Inspire Me. Okay, I want locations close by Glasgow. I click Inspire Me. Now build my Boolean string, search Google, and here are data scientists and similar in and near Glasgow. Okay, finding people's never been so easy. Now I'm going to reach out to these individuals. I go into my social media outreach solution, click create. If there's nothing already in there, this is a design job. It is a product designer, and it's based in Surrey. I click Inspire Me, and now Poetry is going to create for me some suggested outreach messaging. It's going to do a few interesting things in here. The first thing is, this workspace is set up for Poetry, for people working at Poetry, for recruitment for our company. So it knows about our EVP. It knows about the career pain points for a product designer. It's aiming to match these things up to create some compelling outreach messaging to explain to that individual why they should get back to me and why they should be interested in that job. I could do the same for social media posts. I could do the same for job adverts, for email copy. Let's take a look at candidate interviews. The hiring manager has asked me to create some suggested interview questions. I can go into find, and if there's nothing in there, I'll go into create. This is for a design job. It's a UI/UX designer job, and it's based in Burton upon Trent. I'm going to click Inspire Me. Oh no, hang on a second. I'm going to go out of that. I skipped a step. Let's do it again. It was a design job. It's a UI/UX designer. It's based in Burton upon Trent, and I need to select what kind of question I want. So I want a technical question, and I want it for the first stage. I click Inspire Me. And now this is going to give me some suggested, I don't need to know very much about doing the job of a UI UX designer. One of the things we learned in our research last year is, of course, in-house recruiters and RPO recruiters, they are not typically spending all of their year focused on hiring the same group of people. They're working on a treasury manager one day, and they're working on a receptionist the next day, and a group financial controller later on that day. So it's such a varied set of knowledge they need. What we're doing here is providing them with that knowledge really, really quickly in rapid time. So first question, you're tasked with redesigning the user interface of our company's internal dashboard. The goal is to improve usability and make it more intuitive for our team members. Question, how would you approach the redesign of the internal dashboard to ensure it meets the needs of all users? And 3 follow-up questions. Okay, there's another one. Our mobile app has received user feedback indicating that the navigation is confusing and not user-friendly. How would you deal with this? Okay, and the third one. I mean, that is rapid time development of a variety of different types of interview questions that you might need to get your tasks accomplished. We have a solution for hiring manager enablement, which we're going to be working on intensively in the second half of this year. And we're going to be embedding into the DNA of the entire product itself. We've got an area for storing and developing job descriptions, for kickoff meetings, for policies, for processes. Team learning. So I'm new to the team. This is where I come. Here's how we do advertising. Here's how we do assessment. Here's how we do CRM. Here's how we do career site. You might see on my workspace, because I'm an admin, down at the bottom, I've got admin functionality. So I can click edit and I can remove this template image and I can add in my own image or deck or video. I can also click edit and change the text in here. So it's all relevant to your company. I can click new and I can add in new learning cards. So it's really easy to use. Okay, I've got a competitor, which is, I always go a little bit blank on this. Stephen, help me out. Who's a company that we could add in here? Let's add in Intel. Okay. So I put in the domain for Intel. I click create competitor. It's going to take a couple of seconds, and it's going to create for me a profile for this competitor. Okay. So I click on here. Yeah, we've still got one thing to do before this is perfect. Okay, so here is some good information about Intel, a bit more additional helpful things here. And down here, I can see like, where are there people in the world? I'm now going to click Generate Insights. And what this is going to create for me is Intel's strengths as an employer, weaknesses as an employer, leadership, compensation, and culture related information. So let's take a look at leadership. Recent CEO transition back in February 21. Culture, community engagement, diversity and inclusion, innovative and collaborative environment. Let's take a look at their weaknesses. Work-life balance. Like many tech giants, it may have a demanding work schedule. High competition and large corporate structure, which might slow down decision-making and innovation. Okay. So I want to work on a new job, but I don't want to have to go into all of these solutions. I'm going to go into my playbook, click find, and if there's nothing there, I'll click create. This is a manufacturing job. It is a quality control specialist, and it's based in Coventry. I'm going to select all of the playbook assets I want them all. And now I'm going to click build playbook. There's my Boolean string for this job. Here's a brand advert if we're doing social media outreach, or sorry, social media advertising campaigns. It's next building a candidate interview questionnaire. It's then going to build a conversation guide, which is like an elevator pitch type of thing. So to build all of these assets, Poetry uses a very considerable amount of prompt engineering. And of course, we use a large language model in the background. So Stephen, to set up this workspace so that it is really, configured effectively for a specific organization, and it's returning back results which are on brand, consistent, knows the context of the company, knows the EVP, knows the company's strengths as an employer and its market positioning, those types of things. What are the things we need to do to really configure the workspace?
Yeah, so I mean, really simply, in its kind of purest form, this could take you as little as like 15 to 20 minutes to set up if you've got all the information at hand, or a little bit longer if you're having to navigate some other teams and get some other information. But we really need you just to focus on two main areas. So if you go ahead and click on that admin menu on the top left and go to admin and then head to org. The org space is where you categorize your teams, job titles, locations, and hiring managers in the platform. By teams, we mean things like, job departments, job families, that type of thing. Job titles you would then assign to those specific teams, and you would write locations as well. A couple of things to note about this is that we're currently working on active integrations to various ATSs, so that this can be auto-populated and updated from there. We're at the beginning stages of that, but you can also drag and drop CSV files into here to populate the information. This does two things for you inside Poetry. One, it helps you categorize and find information really easily later on. So if you're looking for a specific job title, job description, that type of thing, we'll surface it for you quite quickly. And it also helps us with kind of the inspiration and creation side of things as well. So in amongst that kind of prompt engineering, there is a placeholder text for a lot of this information because we want to keep bringing it through as much as possible and really kind of help that influence the kind of answer that the LLMs give. However, we can't just leave it to that, right? You have to put your own stamp on it. And that's where, if you press that admin menu, Adam, and go to setup in configuration, we have a whole space where you can really start to configure Poetry as your own, or as your own on behalf of the company. So there's a templates area for intros and outros. That's the things that you'll see at the start and at the end of every job post, every job description, every job advert, every social media post, that type of thing. So you can see here that we've got a couple of examples of that. That's just to save your team from copying and pasting it over, typing it out, maintain consistency and that type of thing as well. So, moving on from there, we've then got global rules. That's where you'll do things like put your logo in if you're going to create images, put your company website or career site in. That'll help us reflect back onto that to make sure that the tone of voice that you've selected or any of those types of things is on par. We've got hashtags, fairly self-explanatory. We've got email signature and we've got EVP as well. Now, EVP is really important, right? While Poetry can help you create an excellent EVP if you have not got one already, what we would aim to do is always try and look back to see what your EVP is, to see really what should we be representing on behalf of you as a company. We've got various different Gen AI rules there about emojis and whether or not you're allowed to use AI at all, of course, your tone of voice and your preferred language at this stage as well. But where the kind of magic happens, if this was an episode of Cribs, is in the company info section. And that is where you fill out a list of roughly about 10 questions, which really hammer down into the details and create a true company persona based on the information that you provide. So you can see here, we've filled it out for Poetry, right? So, why was the company started? What are you looking to achieve? What are your core values and principles? What kind of things do you want to say? Do you always say? What things shouldn't we say? And that type of thing as well. So really kind of building this true picture around who you are, who you represent, and all of that is then reflected back into every creation or inspiration that we do within the platform. So we're not out here. I like to call this kind of your Poetry guardrails, right? We're not out here saying this is a free for all. It's really admins and companies having control and setting the kind of the bumpers on the bowling lane, if you will, around what recruiters can and can't do. That should hopefully achieve much more consistency and much more kind of recognizable tone as you move forward. So yeah, that's a quick snapshot of the two key areas that will allow you to do all the stuff that Adam's shown you so far.
Great. Okay. So let's just go back to the playbook. So here is I can't remember what it was, a quality control specialist, was it? Based in Coventry. And what we've done is, of course, our logo is added in here. If you want a hashtag or you want a career site URL added to the image, you can. We've asked for our images to be photorealistic, and we have also asked for it to use the colors that are complementary with our company branding. You may or may not choose to use the image creation within Poetry. You may, if you don't want to, you can upload your own images, and Poetry will take from your own approved images and not create anything new. Okay, so here is the playbook developed. As I said, it takes about 3 minutes to create that. It's for a quality control specialist, and there's 20-something different assets in here. Let's take a look at one of them. This is the persona. So, quality control specialist based in Coventry. Here is their typical educational experience. Here is work experience, current salary, professional goals, career pain points. This is the typical kind of marketing persona type thing. What might tempt them? So what might tempt them is based on our EVP and their career pain points. Okay. Where do they seek professional information? Okay. And then we've also got workforce insights about this job within this location. So close by Coventry, other hubs for this people with this type of job are Birmingham, Leicester, Northampton, Rugby, and Warwick. There are around 200 to 300 of these people in Coventry, and approximately 30 job posting for this in the past 3 months. So medium demand, okay? A bit more about diversity split, 60% male, key issues in the profession, talent mobility and flow, where have people gone from and to, job title changes, what did they do before and what did they do after, and then in terms of employers, so Jaguar Land Rover, GSK, Severn Trent, PepsiCo, Aston Martin, for example, are employers of people like this in the location. This is gold dust information for you to take to the hiring manager to really be able to add a lot of value and do genuine recruitment business partnering. I want to understand what's going on in the workspace, so I click on the analytics button and then analyze desktop usage. And now what this is going to show me is, at a glance, of all of the different solutions in here, which are being used the most and the least. Very useful for knowing which of the native Poetry solutions are people either not understanding or maybe, and therefore not using, or maybe you just don't need them, in which case you should switch them off of the desktop. And also, in terms of the third-party solutions, which are being used the most and the least. Okay, I can filter that according to individual if I really want. One company said yesterday they would switch that off as default because their culture is they don't use any type of league tables or anything like that in the, like they don't measure human activity in that way, and they actively don't want to. So that was really interesting to hear. I can also, in terms of analytics, go into the analytics area and I can click on asset analysis. And this is now going to show me at a glance, what's the total value of all of the assets that we've developed within our workspace, 1.35 million. This is based on the number of times an asset's been created and copied and shared, times by the length of time it takes to create the asset, times by an average recruiter salary. So it's quite interesting. And then there's a lot more analytics that you can get in here as well, in terms of like people that are like all sorts of league table type things around activity. So I hope this has been interesting. I just want to finish with Stephen. Tell us about like onboarding. What happens when somebody first signs in to Poetry? Like what happens next?
Yeah, so we've really tried very hard to build a simple and easy to use platform, right? So building a simple and easy to use onboarding was absolutely key in keeping in with that. And when you log on to Poetry for the first time, you will receive welcome videos and messages around either how to navigate if you're an admin or how to navigate if you are a recruiter or another type of user. And both of those journeys are different. One is very much focused on platform setup, and then inviting your team. But all of them are walkthroughs. So you can click next and really be guided through the whole process in roughly about 20 to 30 minutes. And if you're like me and you don't like reading words and you like listening to things and viewing things, then there's videos that will pop up in place of those. There is a self-help kind of section, which we call Poet's Corner, which will tell you about all the individual tiles and solutions and what they do. It will tell you exactly what's kind of happening in the recruiter enablement world. It has a little bit of an aspect about a community to it right now as well, in terms of we're updating, or what Adam is updating his YouTube channel, which you'll see on LinkedIn, but we're also updating kind of like white papers and articles and things like that consistently. So the onboarding process itself should be fairly seamless and straightforward, but we are always there for both feedback and or help if required, as well as part of that process.
Okay, great. Stephen, what's the second half of this year, as we continue to move rapidly towards becoming the world's most useful talent acquisition technology? What are the 2 or 3 most important product roadmap things that we are delivering?
Yeah, so we have spent the last few months really nailing our solutions, right? Getting them up to an 8, 9, 10 out of 10 in some cases. Recently, we have revamped how the whole platform looks. That was very important to users and something that we got feedback on quite quickly. The directions that we are taking now, you've already mentioned one of them, is hiring manager enablement. How we can take everything that we've got existing, plug in the gaps that are missing, and really kind of bring that experience that is, a unified experience for the recruiter and the hiring manager together. So that's really important kind of moving forward, and also an industry demand, an industry need. The next step is a community aspect as well. So not only the ability to have sharing and liking like we already do within your poetry platform to your company, but also the wider poetry community, really leaning on people for ideas, how-tos, what they did in terms of best practice and things like that. And then last but not least, which we are really in the process of trying to get together imminently, is our RAG model, which is retrieval augmented generation, which essentially means that you as a company will have your own LLM from within poetry. So you will be able to surface the best case examples, not only surface, but repeatedly create the best case examples of the assets that you have. So whether that's things that you've uploaded and that are important to you, or whether that's things that you've created inside the platform, it's really important that we show you what you have. Let's say, for example, you come into poetry and you're ready to, create a job for a mechanical engineer in Glasgow. We want you to have the ability to surface all the best in class assets you have already, but then list the things that you do not have and that you might want to go ahead and create. So those 3 things are the big vision picture for the rest of this year.
Brilliant. Okay, I'm excited. I know that Stephen's excited.
Yeah.
I hope you're excited too. And feel free to make contact with us if you've got any questions, or you would like to talk about buying poetry for your talent acquisition or RPO team. Thanks very much.
Thank you.